Creatures have been born of hell, and have found their way into different worlds. You think you know hell, but you know nothing. Nothing. There is another who desires the molten throne, and I shall have it!
Hey everyone, it's Dark Energy with Area of Effect, formerly known as AoE Gaming, bringing you another out-of-the-box build. If you liked the Hell's Mortars Magicka DK build I released some time ago, then you might like this stamina-based counterpart. Check out these clips and we'll loop back around and discuss the build. See you in a bit. Alright, well I hope you enjoyed those clips of what this build looks like and what it can do. Now let's jump into the build. Starting with the gear, our first 5-piece set is Way of the Fire. We've got a great sword, sharpened with a shot glyph of Way of Fire, weapon damage, max stam, weapon crit. When you deal damage with a weapon, you deal an additional 5,200 flame damage every 2 seconds. This used to be a 20% chance, now it's a 100% chance. Our monster set is Zon. We get spell crit. When you damage an enemy with a light or heavy attack, you have a 33% chance to connect a flame beam. It'll start at 2492, and over the course of 6 seconds, it'll increase in damage by 100% every second. This is a great choice for a Dragon Knight, especially with the fossilized skill, keeping people close and stationary. The next 5-piece set, Ashen Grip. It's a craftable set. We've got all well fitted on Ashen Grip. Max health, weapon damage, weapon crit. When you deal melee damage, you breathe fire to all enemies in front of you for 7383 flame damage every 4 seconds in a cone outward. So both Way of the Fire and Ashen Grip will proc with weapon abilities, light attacks, heavy attacks, stampede, anything, uppercut, reverse slice, executioner. We've got Jewelry of the Fire because it's a heavy armor set and we want to keep medium on our body. Now they're all healthy. You can transmute these to stamina, robust, or even get a bloodthirsty. I would have done one a bloodthirsty. I just didn't do it yet. And back to our shock glyph. Well, the bow, by the way, you can use potentates, you can use masters, you can use maelstrom. I'm using potentates on this infused with the weapon damage enchantment, so I can hit him with poison injection or a light attack from range to proc my weapon damage buff and then move on in. The meal, food, Lava Foot, now it gives us max stam, almost 5,000, and stam recovery, almost 500. You notice there's no health in there, but we're good because we have a health from Ashen Grip, and we have 3 healths from the Jewelry of the Fire. Our Mundus is the Lover. We want that extra penetration for our procs. Zon, Way of Fire, and Ashen Grip are all going to hit harder with the Lover as our Mundus. The more penetration you can get, the better. Now the potion you want to use, I use a Tri Potion. You could also, if you wanted to, use the Minor Heroism Stamina Potions, but I had a bunch of these, and I like these for some of the Magicka to get back our way for buffs and whatnot. Take a look at our stat screen. Right there at 33,000 max stam, a lot of recovery, 3,300 weapon damage, and our resistances and crit resistance are pretty nice. So that's what we're working with when things are buffed. Now I want to kind of show how these proc sets will work, how this build works, and display why we're using what we're using. We're going to start with Way of the Fire. When you deal damage with a weapon, you deal an additional 5,200 flame damage every 2 seconds. Now I put on 1 piece of Valken Scoria, and that way I wouldn't have Zon proc and get in the way. I wanted to show Way of the Fire, and I also put on 1 piece of Unchained Aggressor so Ashen Grip wouldn't proc, so we can just talk about Way of the Fire. There will be a light attack and a shock glyph, but we're just going to focus on the damage from Way of the Fire. So when I light attack, 4326 was the damage. He's actually concussed with minor vulnerability. Now the damage was a little higher. Now it's 4326 again. It'll be 4326 every time until you do another status effect like off balance. You give them, like, I'll uppercut here, he's off balance. Now it's going to be 4654. See the dizziness around his head? 4654. Now it's gone, so 4326 is back. If you noticed, one of the numbers was higher because the shock glyph gave him minor vulnerability. With the shock glyph, you have a 20% chance to inflict the enemy with minor vulnerability, so they're going to take 8% more damage from all sources. Now I'm going to go ahead and re-equip the 5-piece of Ashen Grip, and we'll talk about this one. So the proc conditions for Ashen Grip are kind of similar to the Way of the Fire, but a little bit different. And this is an AoE rather than a single target. It's a cone outward. When you deal melee damage, you're going to breathe fire every 4 seconds. 6133 is the listed tooltip above the enemy's head. So that's going to be every 4 seconds, no matter what you do. Light attacks, heavy attacks, uppercut, reverse slice. He's off balance, it'll deal more. See, 6578. By the way, I turned the Way of the Fire off, so we weren't kind of drowning out the clarity of Ashen Grip with a bunch of numbers over his head, or we'd see more numbers. So if you look there, everything I'm doing every 4 seconds, it's pretty awesome, especially lunging in like this with Stampede and delivering that blow. And with the crit hit of Stampede and the impact, they turned Stampede into an AoE morph now. Ashen Grip delivers, Stampede delivers, and actually Way of the Fire and Ashen Grip work so well together, and they proc so constantly and reliably that it's just, there's so much pressure when you're up in the enemy's face. I'm going to re-enable Way of the Fire, and I'm going to re-enable the Helmet of Zon to kind of get all of the set completions here, and you could just see kind of the numbers. But first, a quick little look at Zon. 33% chance to proc it and make that beam connect you to the enemy. Used to be 15% chance, but now it's 1 in 3, and it just burns down the enemy. I mean, you get flame damage buffing as a Dragon Knight, so it's going to deal more damage. Knocking them off balance, you know, affecting them with that shock glyph, giving them minor vulnerability. So Zon, when you're on a Dragon Knight, I think is great because you can hit them with Fossilize, and it's that like double CC. It's a stun, and then when the stun ends, it's an immobilization, and you just keep them so close. And if they start to gap out on you and get away, you can Stampede and immediately close that gap. But the cool thing is right here, watch this. With one Stampede, all these numbers are going to deliver simultaneously. That is what you want in PvP. You want burst. And we just began with one skill. Now I could lock him in with Fossilize. I could light attack, reverse slice. The sets synergize so well together. All right, now skills. First skill on the two-handed bar is Dizzying Swing. Pretty big blow, 96-74, but it's going to knock him off balance. And with the CP distribution, we're going to increase our damage against off-balance enemies. We'll get to that later. Reverse Slice. I like this one. You could use Executioner for more bonus damage, single target, but I like the AoE of Reverse Slice. Stampede, this is our gap closer. It's really going to help keep us close to our enemy for our procs, and it's always going to deliver a crit hit. And now with the morph that they updated, it's an AoE upon impact. So all enemies are going to get that. And Ashen Grip, you know, and then your Reverse Slice. So pretty nice. Rally, gonna get that major brutality and minor endurance. Also get a heal if you either cast it before the time frame is timed out, or you let it time out and it gives you a bigger heal. You could use Molten Armaments if you wanted to. The Dragon Knight passive, Molten Armaments, or weapons, sorry, is going to give you both major brutality and major sorcery, but the procs aren't going to scale up from major sorcery. And we're not going to miss out on the Mountain's Blessing passive to get that minor brutality to ourselves and our allies, because we're using Fossilize, which is the next skill here. So we're still going to get that. Anyway, Fossilize, this skill is absolutely, you have to have this on this build. You keep them in, you lock them down, it stuns them, then that stun turns into an immobilization. It really helps you keep control and keep them close. The ultimate on this bar is Ferocious Leap for that flame damage and the shield. You could use Take Flight. I just wanted to kind of go along with the flame and the get the damage shield there. So it's a great way to bounce back as a table turner ultimate, a stun, a big burst of damage, and a damage shield. Also restoring resources when you use it as a Dragon Knight. So the next bar, the Bow Bar. Poison Injection. This is going to be great if you have the Master's Bow or if you have Potentates. If you're using the Maelstrom Bow, go ahead and slot the Endless Hail there. Resolving Vigor. This is our heal. Well, one of them. You can't beat this. It's a stamina heal over time. And it combined with Cauterize is going to keep us going. We'll get to that in a minute. Noxious Breath. This is going to deal poison damage up front, poison damage over time, but also give them major fracture, reducing their physical resistance. Now, Cauterize, it's a Magicka sourced skill, but it will give you the healing based on your highest offensive stats. So it's going to scale its health and its healing off of stamina. So very nice here. Every 5 seconds you get that heal. You can use it and let it just do its full time and just go about your way, and every 5 seconds it'll heal you or an ally. Or if you're in kind of a pinch, you could cast it numerous times in a row instead of waiting the 5 seconds. And that combined with Resolving Vigor is basically all you need for heals on this build, in addition to ultimate, as a Dragon Knight, regenerating your resources and the Tri Potion. So, and Rally, by the way. So the last skill is Volatile Armor. It gives us our physical and spell resistance, and also unleashes a spray of spikes that deal flame damage over time in an area around you, which is just an extra dot to put out there. And it looks pretty cool. I mean, you can't be a fire demon without flame spikes. So the ultimate on this bar is going to be Magma Shell. Basically deals flame damage around you, 1,065 every second for 12 seconds. And the damage you take is limited to 3% of your max health. No matter what it is, it could be a hit by Dawnbreaker or an Ice Meteor, and it's going to be 3% of your max health. And your allies are going to get a damage shield for 100% of their health. So I'll go ahead and I'm just building up ultimate here. I'll cast it now, and you can see how I look. He's taking damage just standing in range of me. So it's cool for 12 seconds. You're not invincible, but your damage taken is significantly reduced. Your allies get a damage shield. You restore the resources as a Dragon Knight to cast that, and it's just a very nice skill. All right, moving into the champion points section. So we're going to start with the tower. We have some in Warlord for 10% reduced cost to break free. This is typically my least invested tree in my build, it seems like. Remember, with CP distribution, always invest 1 decimal above the whole number. Everything in between is wasted. So we've got some in Mooncalf, Stamina Recovery, Arcanist, Magicka Recovery, a little bit in Tenacity for more resources back with Heavy Attack, and Healthy, now that we're not a vampire, 10% additional health recovery. You could tweak that if you'd like. We unlock everything in this tree as far as the unlockables. The next tree is Shadow. Tumbling, we're doing Dodge Roll. I've got it all the way up to 23%. And then Shadow Ward, actually that 1.97 doesn't do me any good. It's just 1% because, again, I would need 1 more point. We're not sitting around blocking on this build, though. We're dodge rolling, we're elusive, we're evasive. Into the magical trees, the damage trees, sorry, the Apprentice. Elemental Expert and Spell Erosion we have because of our procs. Zon, Ashen Grip, and the Fire are all going to scale and hit harder from those 2 trees, Spell Erosion and Elemental Expert. So get those invested into. The next tree, the Atronach, Physical Weapon Expert, we're going to hit harder with our bow and with our two-handed. Master at Arms, a lot of direct damage on this build. There's some damage over time as well, but you want to make sure you unlock the 75-point unlock called Butcher, which is going to give you increased damage with light and heavy attacks against enemies with a 25% health or less. So it's got to be gotten in PvP. And it also does help in PvE when you're in that finishing mode, when the enemy drops below 25% when you're weaving. So next tree, we get 121 points invested in this tree. We get Last Stand, Major Heroism, really helps us get some ultimate gen. Mighty, which is going to increase all of our damage done with everything physical, and Piercing, which is going to increase everything basically done physically. So we do have Thaumaturge because we have Zon and whatever burning status effects. But I would definitely invest into this one, even just for Zon alone. You could take it up a bit higher if you'd like to pull from another source or lower down Mighty and Piercing, but to me this was kind of the sweet spot. Now Exploiter, 75 points, increase your damage done against off-balance enemies by 10%. You use that Dizzying Swing, they're off-balance, and even all your procs now are going to hit 10% harder. So into the red trees, the Steed, Ironclad, that's direct damage attacks. In PvP, that's most of the damage you need to worry about, big bursty damage. Spell Shield and Crit Resistance in medium armor. You can tweak these as you see fit, but as a Dragon Knight, we're already getting some spell resistance as a passive, so we don't need as much of that. We do end up unlocking all 4 unlocks on this tree, including the dodge roll spell and physical resistance buff. Into the next tree, the Lady, Hardy, and Elemental Defender. I always try to go at least 5% on each of these, reducing the damage you take by those 2 types of categories. And Thick-Skinned, damage over time, reduction by 15%. Now, Critical Leech, this one, when you deal critical damage, you're going to heal a little bit. So that's just an extra little bit of healing that's going to help you. Unchained, we get that unlock as well. Expert Defender, light and heavy attack, cost reduction or damage reduction, and a little bit more healing with quick recovery. So that's going to wrap up the CP distribution and wrap up this build video. If you like this build video and you want to see more, check out my channel. I've got plenty more material on there and always more on the way, as well as non-build related material, including how to get more out of your proc sets, certain visual effects that you can obtain for free, and stuff like that. Well, guys, that wraps up this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Dark Energy with Area of Effect, signing out.